it is a moment of sadness in Nigeria's history. Eyes are filled with tears, and hearts of many concerned citizens are heavy with grief. While mental strength and stability is therefore key to be able to stand firm through it all. Joining us now to speak on mental safety and how to take care of our mental health during this civil crisis is Psychiatrist Dr. MAYMUNAH. Thanks for joining us this morning on The Morning Show.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, let's begin with this. Mental health is a conversation in Nigeria that often is stigmatized. People do not want to be associated with having some sort of mental health because it's just assumed that you're absolutely mad. You know, how would you respond to that?
And it's quite sad that what is happening now. We have a pandemic now, a protest, and I'm hoping that peace will reign at the end of the day. This is a time for all of us to begin to start, accepting that mental health related issues are real. If we have to go past this and build healthy communities and society, we definitely need not only physically healthy people to make up that community, we also need mentally healthy populace to be able to build our economy and every other thing that comes with it. So it doesn't only start with the government, it starts with us as individuals, guarding, protecting, and of course, prioritizing our mental health above everything.
All right, Dr. May, break down for us, if you will, the phases of mental health. What really are the causes of mental health?
As numerous as any other medical condition, from as far as a family history of a mental illness. So sometimes when people come around and they're having some vague symptoms or they don't really even understand what they are going through, and then you ask them the question, if you have a family history, like, no, are you trying to say that there's somebody mad in my family? But truly, mental illness are just like any other medical condition. So something that can cause it can be because you have a family member that has had an existing mental illness. It can also come from the fact that you are from a dysfunctional family setting, from a family where there was a divorce, from a family where there was domestic violence, even you being sexually abused, to current situation like what we call triggers or precipitating factors like the COVID-19, like the protest, then of course relationship issues, financial crisis. As little as some people may think it sounds, job dissatisfaction. Even if you have a job, you may be dissatisfied with that job. And of course, underemployment and all the other consequences that come. So we have things from predisposing, meaning things that may not necessarily be within your control as you were growing up as a child, to precipitating factors like triggers that can make you to, break down with a mental illness. So it's not a respect of anybody. It cuts across all communities, all races, all gender, all religious status, all socioeconomic classes. So there's nobody that's absolutely immune to having a mental illness.
Yeah, I talked about that. That's the first part of the question. I talked about phases. There are phases in mental health. Before we begin to talk about how to deal with them,
Yeah, there are phases, just like many other medical conditions. We have the mild phase, we have the moderate phase, and of course the severe phase. Like currently what we are having now, what we are trying to prevent is from people migrating from the mild to the moderate or severe cases. Hence the reason why we have to prioritize and take care of our mental health. So if it's a mild case, people normally do not even need medication. It just needs you to just talk to somebody, a trusted family member, a friend or a colleague, or even talking to a professional. Hence the reason why we are saying, look, the fact that people have mental illness does not mean that they are on the street. It may be that you've lost something. It may be you are grieving, just like the way most of us are grieving now, whether directly or indirectly. Yes, so the phases might be in mild, moderate, and of course in severe cases where people start becoming suicidal or hearing or seeing strange things and becoming delusional.
Now, the word mental health is very broad. Let's break it down so people can really understand. There are different types of mental health issue, which include PTSD, bipolar, anxiety, and it's obvious that people can react to either one of these, depending on the situation. Now, looking at the aftermath of everything, the protest, COVID-19, the lockdown, could you please expatiate on these various types of mental health and how they occur?
Good question. And this is where a lot of us that are experts should help Nigerians to demystify some of the myths people are holding against mental health and mental illnesses. As this has happened, after protests and all that, there are going to be mild cases, mild phase, and it can be moderate or severe effects. So what are the mild effects that people can have now, or what we say immediate effect? Poor quality of sleep, the fear, intense fear, anxiety about the whole situation, nightmares, and and other issues that may come with the fact that you just have that general sense of well. Then of course we move to the short-term effect. What are the short-term effect cases that may come up? Depression may be one of them. Abuse of alcohol and other substances. These are some of the that is important because some people will not be able to cope and they will use that as a coping mechanism, which is a maladaptive coping mechanism. And of course, then we can move to the long-term phase. So short and long-term phase, what is in between there could be post-traumatic stress disorder. Because not everybody will come down with a post-traumatic stress disorder. You can only make that diagnosis 3-6 months and more after somebody has experienced a trauma. So if somebody's already traumatized with the COVID-19 pandemic era, which we are still in, and now with this protest, this person can be diagnosed with a PTSD right now. Not necessarily because of the protest, but because the person has been traumatized with the COVID-19 issue that has been ongoing. And of course, some people can have what we call schizophrenia with time, and some people can become even suicidal. So we have to look at the immediate, short and long-term basis. Why we have to talk about this, and if it's possible for people to have what we call psychological debriefing, is to prevent the most, the highest rank mental health effect that we can easily come down with, which is the post-traumatic stress disorder.
All right, Doctor, let me ask you this. What are the signs to look out for? In other words, what are the signs? In other words, what should we look out for to be able to help those with this kinds of issues? And is it possible that one with mental issues might not even be aware that they have that?
Good question. You are very right. Some people may not be aware, and this is where denial or doubt comes in. You may know and you are in denial. You may not know and people around you are doubting you, or even trivializing your symptoms. So what are the things people should look out for? Let's understand this. Our thoughts influence our emotions, and our emotions influence our behavior. So what are the things people will see behaviorally that they will make them look or think that there's something wrong with them? Because when we talk about mental illness, it affects the way we think, the way we act, and of course the way we behave. So from poor quality of sleep, as mild as poor quality of sleep, I keep hammering on this because it's one of the gateway symptoms to emotional instability or having a mental illness. So poor quality of sleep, fear that is so intense as if something is going to happen, panic attacks, not even eating well. On the flip side, you may be oversleeping or even overeating. Then, of course, it comes from mood swings, intense sadness that is even persistent over a period of time. Then, of course, some people may start having poor concentration and attention. Yesterday, I had somebody who said when the governor announced the curfew 8 to 6, he just saw himself driving from Ikeja. He was on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We were supposed to come to Lekki. He was absent-minded. So these are some of the things that
interesting, Dr. MAYMUNAH. I totally agree with that. You know what? I think we're going to have to come back to this. Let's take a quick break right now. We'll be back. Thanks for staying with us on the morning show. We still have Dr. MAYMUNAH Kadiri with us, a neuropsychiatrist, speaking on how to stay mentally safe during this period. Now, Dr. MAYMUNAH, thank you for sticking with us. Before we went on that break, you were speaking on the importance of being able to identify when, in fact, you may have a mental illness. Would you like to continue on that?
Yes, so I would want to also encourage everybody that, look, whatever you're going through right now, your emotions are valid. Don't overthink things. A lot of us, we are all unique as individuals, and definitely we cope differently. So the other things that people should look out for is that chest tightness, hyperventilating. So I will tell you as it is right now, from the calls we receive and for people that come into our facility, the topmost on the list is poor quality of sleep, then fear that is so intense, then of course anxiety, whereby people can even go into a panic attack. Other things may come in later, but these are the very common ones that people should actually look out for. Mood swings. Sometimes you may just sit down, you are just weeping and you don't have any reason to cry. But the truth is that you have a reason to cry. Everybody is overwhelmed with what is happening. We thought there was pandemic, but now protest. And we don't even know what is coming next. So all that fear of the unknown can be so overwhelming. And if you are already vulnerable, it's even worse on you.
Okay, so what is the treatment for all this? Do I need to go to the hospital and actually get medicine? Or, is this something that I just need love and tender love and care, family around maybe? What are the treatments? How serious do they get?
So it can be as serious as it may be, but again, we are not here to preach the doom and the gloom. We are also here to preach hope and preach recovery. So what I will encourage people to do is to embrace self-care and self-love. The reason why I said self-care is because I have developed an acronym that I call Dr. May's self-care rule. And what does this mean? S here is for you to identify self-awareness, identify your stressors, your triggers, understand that right now your fears may not necessarily materialize. And of course, if you understand them, you'll be able to manage them. It will keep you calm, and then you'll be able to take care of yourself. The E here is exercise. You don't have to do the bumping jacks and all the running up and down. Just move your body, do dance, and just move for a short period, 20 to 30 minutes brisk walk. What this does is that it helps to boost your feel-good hormones, and when they are released, it helps keep rejuvenated, and of course reduces anxiety and fear. What is L? Limit your exposure to news and social media. People need to know this. If you can switch off your TV, you own nobody. Just take time out and take care of your well-being. Schedule the time you want to listen, watch, or look at, or whatever it is you want to browse in the social media. The F here is find and engage in pleasurable activities, things that make you happy, your hobbies, things that make you feel relaxed. C, yes, staying connected. This is where your TLC comes in, right? Connect with the trusted family members, loved ones, and of course, sometimes even colleagues. You are a social being. Social interaction is very good at this point. And of course, for our holistic wellness. A, here you are a human being. Please ask for help. For the men out there, don't man up. You are a human before you become a man. Don't man up. Ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not necessarily a sign of weakness. R here is rest and sleep. There's no award for the busiest human being. Take time out. Rest. Yes, you may be having difficulty in sleep. Don't indulge in sleeping pills. You don't need that. Just take time out, rest, and relax. Last but not the least is E. Let's eat right. It does not only help to build our immunity, it also keeps the survival skills. So I wish and I hope and I encourage all Nigerians to embrace these self-care rules that will help keep you body, mind, and soul, and keep you mentally stable.
I'm sure some people are getting really excited about this acronym that you just, enumerated. Quite interesting. And it's so interesting that there are places where men don't need to man up. It's very interesting.
It is.
So, there are places you don't need to man up. All right, I think you began, the first one was self-help. And I was thinking to myself, supposing we have a situation, and this is true, where people do what you call or live in what you call self-denial. How do you, you would have had somebody say, that maybe anger problem, that's where I am. Apparently, you're looking at somebody who doesn't want to help himself or herself. So when you have such situations, how do you begin to help them? Add this to that one. Where is the place, or is there any place of spirituality? How can spirituality help one who is faced with these issues?
So you see, the wheel of wellness has spirituality, physical wellness, emotional wellness, psychological wellness, family, career. So none is bigger than one, and none is less important than the other one. There's a role for spirituality, and of course spiritual wellness. And this is where trusted family members and colleagues come in. Some people may be in denial, not necessarily that they don't know what is happening to them, but they don't just want to help themselves. And this is where you that know that this person, one word has changed. What has changed in this individual from the time you know him or her and then now? This is a time for you to, not to judge them. This is time for you to listen to them, not judgmentally, and refer them. Refer them to seek for a cause. At the end of the day, what do we want to achieve? Encourage help-seeking behavior and build a culture of compassion. What do I mean by culture of compassion? Where we are able to create safe spaces that people can speak up and speak out, where people wouldn't be judged, they wouldn't be criticized, and of course, we wouldn't be apostolic towards them. By doing that, we encourage people to seek for help from the right places, the right people, and of course, the right time, which is now. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, who will? And if it is not now, then when?
Absolutely. Now, doctor, let's bring our attention to back to the stigma again. What role do our laws have to play with this? We have the Lunacy Act of 1958, and it's created so much discrimination and stigma around mental health. When you know that, if I say something or if I go to the hospital, there's a very high chance that I could be locked up, and they have a right to lock me up. So how do our laws play a role in, dealing with the stigma and discrimination towards mental health?
It's still sad that we're in 2020 and we are still using a Lunacy Act of 1958. Like literally, just look at 62 years ago. And now we are saying this is our reality. Is it not absurd for a population of 200 million people and counting? We are hoping the 9th National Assembly will pass the bill into an act. It's already been revised. It has gone through open reading. It has even gone through a public hearing. So we are hoping that bill, the new mental health bill, will pass into an act whereby we are able to accommodate all other deficits that we had in the Lunacy Act into the new mental health bill. So we are hoping that is passed soon. Maybe 2021, we are hoping.
Fingers
or
crossed.
They can surprise us now in 2020.
Well,
we need it right now.
Yeah, they're saying 2020 is a time for people to, maybe take stock and stay alive.
Yeah.
Until you get to 2021, they begin to dream more. But of course, you can dream anytime. So it's interesting what the law has to do with it. And like she said, people could be locked up. And that will not be particularly solving the problem. Aside the law, is there any other thing one could do, because it's not all the cases that need locking up. It might even worsen the problem.
Yeah, it will. Definitely. That is institutionalization. It's definitely not allowed. If you want to go legal, you are infringing on somebody's fundamental human rights. But of course, we know that this person is mentally ill. But what are the other nicer ways and, methods that you can help this person as against us locking the individual up? Of course, we do understand that science and all the other things happening, we show that some people will never, ever accept that they have a mental illness. But at least if we collectively start talking about mental health, not just on the lip service, but amplifying our voices, changing the narrative. We have the hashtag NSAS. Why don't we have the hashtag mental health bill should be passed? So there is a power of social media these days, and certain things we need to nip it in the bud. This is a major eye-opener. With the COVID-19 and now the protest. You can't imagine the number of people that call on a daily basis. And we're talking about the youth.
I can only imagine.
Traumatized.
Yeah, they are. You know what, Dr. MAYMUNAH? Let's hope that this hashtag starts, right? Let's hope that this bill is passed into law and this becomes our reality. Thank you so much for coming on the morning show. Let's head out to a quick break. We'll be right back.